Good evening and welcome to the July 19th, 2018 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. These proceedings are being recorded to provide a full and accurate minutes of the meeting. I'm going to introduce the board at this point. To my right is Jerry Patamas. He is an associate member of the board. My name is TJ Hurry. I am the chairman of the board. To my left is Ed Van Kuren. He is a full voting member of the board. To his left is Paul Murphy. He is also a full voting member of the board. We have Bob Dugan, who is an associate member. We also have with us tonight Sari Boudreau, who's our zoning administrator, and Ashley DeMello, who is our recording secretary for tonight. Anyone who comes up to the microphone tonight, the public attorneys, agents, representatives, due to time restraints and the number of applications, although we might not be running into that issue tonight given the agenda, we do have time restraints. We usually ask representatives of applications to hold themselves to 15 minutes to represent to us any pertinent information, plans, any updates regarding any applications. Later we ask for public input. I'll get into that later. Anyone speaking in favor or against the project, or maybe there's just a simple question to be asked regarding the project. I do want to say that any issues that are not pertinent may be interrupted by me as the chairman. We'll call any hearings continued to this date. After that, we'll continue with any new hearings. Once a hearing is open, I'll ask the clerk to read the application. I'll also request that the representative present their reasons for the application. The clerk will then read any referrals and read any letters into the file, either in favor or in opposition. Then we'll turn it to board questions. Then perhaps the administrator may have any questions herself. We'll also turn it to the general public. We'll ask if there's anyone in opposition to speak, anyone that I recognize to speak. I'll ask you to please come up to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Again, whether you'll be speaking in opposition or in favor of the application. We do ask public comment to be held for 2 minutes each. At that point, we may close the hearing for public comment for discussion among the board and the administrator. At that point, we will either call for a motion for a decision, we will either continue the hearing if we don't have enough information regarding a project to a date and time certain, or we will close the hearing and take it under advisement. And then, of course, we'll give the date and time certain at that point. Turning to the agenda tonight, we have one continuation, that's Habitat for Humanity. We have no new hearings, and we also have open meeting agenda items. So with that having been said, we'll open up the continuation 15-18 Habitat for Humanity, 0 Barrows Road in East Falmouth. And for the purposes of tonight's hearing, we are a few people short. I'll be appointing Ed Van Kuren as the clerk for tonight. And Attorney Brody, I believe you were advised that we'll only have 4 voting members for tonight, so any sort of decision that we reach will have to be all 4 members.
No, only 3 actually.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, a 3, it could be a 3-to-1, but a quorum for this board, when you have 5 voting members, is a quorum of 4. So he's speaking about a quorum, not the actual vote that it would take to pass this.
My apologies for misspeaking, Attorney Brody. And last time we were here, I believe we did have several requests. If you'd like to recap the changes to the project at this time.
Yes, the last time we were here was April 19th, and since that time we've submitted several documents to the board. Before the last hearing that was continued, we submitted a document prepared by VHB Engineering that I will refer to. Oh, by the way, with me is Griffin Ryder of VHB Engineering, our Executive Director, Vicki Goldsmith, our Director of Construction, Bob Leary, and our land permitting person, Beth Wade. So they might also answer questions that you have. in addition to this drawing, which relates to parking, since parking was an issue that came up, we also have submitted 3 new plans, which are in front of me on the easel, and I believe I hope you've all received them.
Yes.
Plans C2, C3, and C4 from the original set. The other plans remain the same, C1, C5, and C6 remain the same. The details don't change. The main revision is the reduction of the number of lots from 12 to 10. What we're showing now is a 10-home configuration composed of 7 3-bedroom homes and 3 2-bedroom homes. Naturally, the lots have become substantially larger. Honestly, we toyed with an 11-lot subdivision and did some drawings of it, and frankly, it didn't look any different than the 12-lot subdivision. The 10, however, is a lot airier, I guess I would say. A lot less, it feels a lot less dense. We are still taking the position that you could approve a 12-lot subdivision as originally submitted. Reminded of our submission on Glenwood Ave several years ago, where we actually had 2 proposals, one for a 2-unit development and one for a 1-unit development. And at that time, the board opted for the 2-unit development because they wanted the additional unit. So I would say don't reject the 12 out of hand, but the 10 is here before you to be acted on, I hope. Some of the concerns that you had have been addressed in the revised drawing C2 through C4. For instance, with respect to lamp posts, each of the lots would have its own lamp post. Let me turn to the parking. Do you have this document? Have you seen it?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
We do,
what it
yeah.
was meant to demonstrate, I think there was some confusion generated, however, at the last hearing on April 19th. What this shows is that each of the parking areas for each house can contain 5 passenger vehicles, 19 feet by 7 feet. So really questioning whether there's a need for additional parking if every house could have the potential for 5 vehicles parked there. That was a concern. We have also included split rail fences. Are the split rail fences shown on the drawings? Split rail fences between each of the homes. We have also made certain that the paved driveway areas are at least 5 feet from the lot lines. And another issue that came up was that of a bus shelter. What about a bus shelter? I did some research with respect to school bus routes in Falmouth, and what I found out is that talking about first the East Falmouth Elementary School, we're talking about grades K through 4. That bus could in fact stop on Barrows Road right at the entrance to the development, right at Willett Way, K through 4. The Morse Pond School, grades 5 through 6, the nearest bus stop for that school is at the intersection of Fresh Pond Road and Air Park Drive, which is right across from Barrows, as Barrows intersects Fresh Pond Road. For the Lawrence School, that's grades 7 and 8, the nearest bus stop would be on Fresh Pond Road at either Rickenbacker Road or Fresh Pond Farm Road. So both north and south of Air Park Drive, and it seems to me the bus could certainly stop at Air Park Drive. That wouldn't be a problem. Also very close to the development. And finally, the Falmouth High School, that's grades 9 through 12, their bus stop, the closest one, is at the intersection of Cross Road and Leonard Drive. Again, right around the corner. Those aren't going to change. That is, everything above grades K through 4 will remain the same. They're not going to change the bus routes to accommodate this development. So the only thing that, or the only people that a bus shelter would serve would be kindergartners through 4th graders. And I'd submit to you that they're probably waiting in mom and dad's car at the end of the street, waiting for the bus stop. Now, if you sincerely believe a bus shelter is necessary, and again, we think it's a magnet for bad behavior and adds very little value to the development, we would consider setting aside some funds to purchase one if it were necessary. But we don't even know if there would be kindergartners through fourth graders in this development, at least not until our families are selected. So, the other issue, the only other issue, I believe, is the issue of sidewalks, whether sidewalks are necessary. Sidewalks aren't that common in Falmouth. Even in nice developments, even in upscale developments like River's Edge, which is also off Barrows Road, which is 30, 40 units of
44.
nice housing, no sidewalks. Nice wide roads. Our roads are 20 feet plus berms. We really don't believe sidewalks are necessary, especially with this is a cul-de-sac development where sidewalks would be little used anyway. And I believe I've addressed the issues that were raised at the last hearing. I'm happy to go over any other territory you'd like, or to have our experts do that.
Sure.
So that's all I have.
If you don't mind, I guess we'll turn it to board questions at this point.
Sure.
Thank you. Bob, do you want to start us off?
I don't have any questions on the revised plan.
Paul?
No questions.
I only have one question on the, I think it was on lot 5. Did you move the utilities out from underneath the pavement? I think that was brought to your attention Monday or Tuesday.
On the wrong lot.
Lot 5, the utilities are outside of the pavement.
Okay,
That was the one, lot 5.
that's the only question I had.
Jory, do you have any questions?
Operational, the light poles in front of each condominium, many places automatically keep them on all night long as an association issue. I'm not sure if any of the neighbors had thought the lights may be bothering them.
I would just leave that to individuals.
Okay, so there's no mandate that,
No, in
Okay.
fact, we submitted declaration of restrictive covenants and rules and regulations. We have
which
nothing,
I haven't read.
nothing on lights.
Okay, thank you. No further question.
Okay. Attorney Brody, you stated that there'd be split rail fencing between the properties. Who would maintain those fences? Would it be the homeowners themselves or the association?
Would be the homeowners.
Okay. And the open area in the middle of the cul-de-sac, is that still planned as just being open? No other further plans for development there?
No real plans. I mean, it's shown on the landscape plan as a recreation area, and that's what we intended it for. But it would be maintained by the homeowners association. It would be part of the common area of the property.
And the original plans, I believe it was the 12-unit plan versus the 10, how much larger are the lots now with the proposed 10-unit plan?
That's a good question. They were before approximately 13,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done the calculation. My guess is that they're more like 15,000 feet.
And they're fairly the same size for each unit?
There's one lot that is larger. That's lot number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And also lot number 7, just because of the geometry of the development, it's an odd shape. But, you can read the lot sizes are in the bottom of sheet C for each lot. They're fairly consistent. They're as consistent as we could get them.
And just another follow-up question regarding the lot size. That vacant lot in the rear, still no plans for development for that?
No, it's just buffer.
Okay. And will there be a split rail fence along the property line there? In the rear?
It's not. It's Griffin Ryder with VHB. Split rail fence is not shown in that location. We located split rail fences sort of in between the property lines where the parking areas were, more so people could identify where they can and can't kind of shovel snow, trying to delineate that a little bit, which we thought was the concern of the board. So not all the houses have split rail fences, but ones where they're close to the property, where the parking is close to the property line, those do have split rail fences.
And Attorney Brody, you indicated that you wouldn't be amenable to a bus shelter, but what about something simple like just a bench area at the front location?
Yes, that could be easily done. That would be on common area.
I think that does it for me. Sari, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
All right. At this point, we'll turn it over to the public.
Something new.
Right. We did receive a fair amount of testimony last time, so I would ask that if any members of the public wish to speak, I would ask for any comments or questions they have regarding this project be new questions. Oops.
Sorry. My wife's in trouble now.
Oh. So I would ask that any members of the public wishing to speak tonight, that their questions, comments, be new questions or comments regarding the new information requested tonight. That having been said, are there any members of the public wishing to speak in opposition of this project? Seeing none, would anyone out there like to speak in favor of the project? Okay, seeing none. Any general comments at all regarding this project? Yes, ma'am. And if you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Holly Wilson, and I live at 34 King Street, and I'm the chair of the Affordable Housing Committee and member of the CPC appointed by the Falmouth Housing Authority, and we all agree, we've sent letters of support, et cetera, that this is a really nice project, and we're really happy that Habitat is hopefully going to be in town again soon. There's a lot of community members waiting to help. So this is the kind of thing we need. Thank you very much.
And just a question, are you speaking tonight as an individual, or are you speaking in your capacity of your roles?
I can speak in capacity because both committees voted to first write letters of support and second to fund purchase of the land.
Thank you for clarifying that. Anyone else wish to make any comments regarding this project? Okay, seeing none, would you like to turn it to board discussion?
Well, I think the changes they made, I like. It has increased the open space. So even though you're getting more density because of the nature of the project, it does seem like a more open plan. I don't really think sidewalks are needed at this point. It's a small project. It's not like a large community area. I'm glad they gave us the information on the busing, because it does make sense if there's all those other stops in the area, that it doesn't seem like a shelter would be needed at this location. But it's a nice project. It's also an ownership project. That's a big plus.
Exactly. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't think sidewalks are needed. I don't think the bus shelter is needed. And I was fine with 12. It's now 10, so yeah, I'm very pleased with it.
I'm all for it, and he did what we asked, or requested, and I think the 10 is a good point to settle on, and go for it.
Okay. And I'm just going to echo the sentiment of the board. Attorney Brody, I know, it was a well-received project to begin with, and you definitely performed your due diligence regarding the few minor requests that we had. So I think with these changes, it's an even better project for Habitat and for the town. Jerry, anything?
No, I think it's fine. I think we need the additional, there's nothing negative about the project.
All right. I think if we received all the information we need, I think it's appropriate to close the hearing. Would anyone like to make that motion?
Make a motion to close.
Second?
Motion was made by Ed and second by Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And what would be the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as currently revised.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Paul and then second by Ed. Suri, should we move on to findings, or?
Yes, before you call the vote, most definitely.
Right.
You got to remember, this is a 40B, so what I'll do in the findings, I will list the project as being affordable according to all of the 760 CMR 56 and the 240, or the, excuse me, Chapter 40B 20 through 23. The findings, I'll use your comments that you just stated as revised. It's a much better project, in your opinion. You need to accept all the waivers in your motion, please, that they've asked for.
Based upon the 10
Which
units?
is just a few, yes.
All right.
And then you make a finding on the bus shelter, please. And do you mind if I ask Attorney Brody one question?
That's fine.
Attorney Brody, I apologize, I didn't bring my notes with me, I'm very sorry.
Yes.
I think we talked about this, is this going to be in phases?
Yeah, probably, and it would probably be in 2 phases, with the homes along the eastern side of the project built first.
So if I just do a finding that, according to testimony, as of the time that we close the hearing, it'll probably be in 2 phases. I won't dedicate which one goes first, so it doesn't bind you to anything. Is that okay?
That's okay, and bear in mind, we have a letter of agreement with the Community Preservation Committee, which requires us to build out the first 6. Of course, that was based on a 12-unit
Right.
development, within 4 years from the time we take title.
Yeah.
Which will be hopefully
Yeah.
as soon as the appeal period runs.
So that's your funding, part of your funding, the CPC.
Yes.
CPC, okay. Did you get that? 6 months? All right, that answers my question. Thank you very much. So if that's okay with the board, and it's the other typical findings about the snow, all aspects of it will belong to the homeowners association. They have handed in a draft. I'm trying to think what else I usually put in there. All the stuff that goes in a 40B. So, and I will send it to you guys, of course, and Attorney Brody, before I ask the board to sign it, to make sure it's okay, and if I miss any of the funding sources or things like that. So are there any conditions that the board wants to make?
Per
Is
plans?
per the revised plans.
Revised plans.
Per the revised
Right,
plans?
I'll cite the revised
The 10
plan.
unit?
Yeah.
I'll note that the number of dwelling units that have 3 bedrooms, the number that have 2 bedrooms.
Right.
There's 5 spots available per.
That's a finding, that, I don't know if it
Oh,
doesn't
that's
need
right,
to
it's a
be in a
fine, yeah,
40B.
okay, it's not a condition.
That's the only conditions that the board has, that and to accept the waivers.
All right. And I would at least like to see a bench area. Know that the applicant didn't want to see a bus stop, citing their concerns.
Okay, but you don't need to see the design of it or the location or anything like that, because I'm
No.
sure they're going to put it on their property.
Right. I'll leave it to their discretion.
Okay, so all the typical things, the trash, the snow plowing, all that belongs to them and not the town, those go in. So, if you're fine with that and the conditions are only that,
Just
Then
the
I'm
typical
con-
things we're concerned about, setbacks are improved, lot dimension, lot width.
like I said, in a
Driveways.
40B, I usually don't list all the testimony, just the plans,
Yeah.
Right.
and that you've agreed that it's an improved, and that's part of your vote.
Yep.
So if the board is okay with that and the conditions that you've discussed?
Yep.
Anybody else? Anyone?
Last call.
Bueller?
All right, so the motion to approve the project was made by Paul, it was seconded by Ed, and we do need vote in the
You
affirmative.
need 3.
We need 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None?
4-0.
Vote carries 4-0. Congratulations.
So I'll get that to you probably within a week and a half, maybe? I know.
And I'm sure no one's really concerned about our open meeting items, so we'll all allow you a couple of minutes to disperse.
Okay, 5-minute break?
Yeah, we'll do a 5-minute break.
Well, so they can disperse.
We're back from our break. We don't have any new hearings, so we'll be moving on to our open meeting items. First up is the minutes from July 12th, 2018.
Has everybody read the full minutes?
Yeah, I
Or
read them.
just, everybody's read the full minutes?
Yes.
There was a correction on page 3.
You can make that in your motion. So we'll let Ed make the
Correct.
motion.
Okay.
I did change it. It's written on the minutes. But you have to accept it as amended.
Sari, would you like me to sign that, or would you like Ed to, since Kim's not here?
Either one is fine.
Okay.
Just put whatever your title is underneath, please.
Okay, it's to change the word
Activated.
activated to activities.
Activities, which is...
On page
it is
3.
written- It is written in there to be revised.
Right.
Okay.
So you need to make a motion to accept it as amended if you wish to accept those.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of July 12th as
Okay, motion was made by Jerry. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you. If you'll sign those and put
Need
your,
an initial that or anything?
yeah, I'll sign the front. Do we have any board updates?
we have a draft that was brought up briefly last week by Member Van Kuren regarding the new zoning legislation.
Oh,
So this letter was drafted by Mr. Van Kuren. For your discussion and possible approval.
Okay.
And it was the House and Senate prepare major zoning bills, major changes proposed with long-term consequences.
All
And
right.
it was from Mass Municipal Association, addressed to planning and zoning members.
And you sent this draft to us earlier in the week,
Yeah.
right, Sari?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the final one there.
Ed, since you went to the trouble of drafting it, would you like to make any comments about it?
Yeah, I think it's, one is to protect our interests as a town and not let it go to the state to come up with some rules that we have don't need and don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And it was recommended by the Massachusetts Municipal Association for us to get after the legislators to make sure they don't get carried away.
Right.
And I put Sari, oops, I put Sari's
Trying to
name,
get those.
I put Sari's name in there as a point of contact to encourage the legislators to get to somebody that knows what's going on.
before November 7th or 9th.
No, this actually's got to be done next week, because there's only a week or so left
Oh, that's right.
before the end of the
That's why
session.
it's important for you to
So I,
discuss and vote.
and so I think this should go to all three of the legislators, and it's in the back.
All right.
And so I think it's something we should do.
Right.
So if you guys all agree,
Yeah.
I think it definitely shows we're being proactive toward this
Yeah.
issue, and thank you for taking the time to researching and
Well,
drafting the letter.
Saria's the one that pointed it out.
Thank you, Sari.
Yeah.
I just sent it to you guys. I will put that, if the board wants to accept that, I need a consensus. I will put it on letterhead and ask Chairman Hurry to sign it.
How does everyone feel about the letter?
I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. So do we have to hold an official vote, Sari?
Just a general consensus that the board agrees, and if
Okay.
anybody doesn't, maybe a reason why.
General consensus, is everyone on board?
Yeah,
Yes,
obviously.
All right, so we're all on board.
Okay, so I will put that on letterhead and try to find a time that TJ can come in and sign.
You around tomorrow?
Let's see how next week's schedule comes out. I'll let Sari know when I can swing by.
She had a stamp with the signature.
Ashley, are you recording secretary or not for very long?
No, this is her last night. We actually hired
Oh, good.
Joanne Robbins, who will be here August 2nd,
Excellent.
Great.
Good.
who has a good background and is familiar with some zoning and planning, so hopefully it'll be an easy transition. But thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ashley.
you for all your help.
Now, you do a lot for the board, so thank you.
In many capacities.
Many
Yeah.
capacities. All right, up next, if we're all set with that, we have John Kelly, 471 Old Barnstable Road, a board administrative approval regarding the driveways.
Right, this is, I talked to you about this and explained to you that I did this administratively after I didn't put it on the agenda. Excuse me, I apologize.
That's okay?
And I sent you all a copy of the letter, and you guys agreed with it.
correct.
Mr. Kelly, who is present, came back to me, said he wasn't in favor of it. He doesn't want to construct these 2 parking spaces in front of each one, which this is the plan that the board approved. He explained to me that the engineer just put it on the plan, and I asked him why it wasn't brought to our attention before. But he's not, I have pictures in the file of what is existing, excuse me. So he wants this to go back before the board because he's not in favor of my administrative approval. So this is not in the form of an appeal. It's strictly to get your opinion. This is what was constructed. It was in front of the board for an administrative approval, which I did, because this and this is different than the plan, as you can see. This was reset, and this ended up coming out a little bit further with more steps. So I approved that, and I discussed with him what I was going to do with these, ask for a bond.
So it's not just the driveways that are an issue
Well,
with what's constructed
we're-
versus what's. what
I don't
the
think he
plan
has an
is.
issue with the
Yeah.
steps and stairs, because I approved those.
Right,
I mean, this is a huge parcel, really. So it didn't affect lot coverage, and, you know, when you build and you don't know what the grade is actually going to be,
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
understandable.
tough. So
Right.
those I accepted without any issue.
Sure.
But the driveway, so it doesn't back out onto Old Barnstable, was
Right.
my concern, because these showed. Mr. Kelly is here, if you have any questions for him.
Sari, I know the location of the lot, it's a corner lot with
Yeah.
2 busy main roads.
Right,
In our,
right here, our Carriage Shop Road and Old
Right.
Barnstable, there's a stop sign right here, and the grade goes down towards.
right, in our approval, did we cite safety reasons as
Yes,
the,
I think we
Yes,
as
it
for
was
the
public
driveway layout?
safety.
Okay,
And in my letter, I stated that as well. So he does not want to do these. This one came closer to the house, as you can see. So I suggested he make parking spaces over here and possibly over here, so, because he said, he talked to a realtor, and aesthetically, it wouldn't be, what's the word?
Copacetic? No.
No, it's not
Aesthetic?
pleasing,
aesthetic?
being in front of the house.
Well, the
So-
cars are gonna-
Corbett,
I think they can do
the
it.
real estate agent came up with it.
So, I don't know if you guys saw, this is what was
Yeah,
constructed.
that's fine. I think it's fine, I mean,
This is what's proposed so that nobody's backing out onto
Yeah.
Old
Yeah, I
Barnstable.
think that's important.
So
right.
if he's here, if you'd like to ask any questions, Jerry,
Thank
that's
you.
the photo that's existing.
Mr. Kelly, we normally don't ask questions of an applicant during an administrative approval, but I'll let you briefly address the issue if you'd like.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. When the project was approved, the site plans went in as they were. I didn't notice it fully that those two turn-ins were there. The error with that is mine, the problem with that is mine. I went and I had the highway department, because of the sidewalks being put in, and that they cited the driveway openings. So I had the driveway openings where they were. I called out a company to do the asphalt. He was one of the people. My wife, to be perfectly frank with you, some other people said, you know, you're gonna eat up, because I just gave the plan, they said you're gonna eat up the whole entire part of the front in the house. They said, why don't you just go ahead and put the driveway, there'd be enough parking on it. They measured it all out. I did not believe, in my error, in my own ignorance, that not putting that in would be an issue. I had always heard that the asphalt and the drainage, and that was more of a problem. You asked for the, what do you call it, the
Driveway?
drain in the other driveway, put that in. I complied with that. However, I didn't do that. I came up to the office to get sign off, and then it was pointed out to me it was an issue. I'm asking relief from those two to be put there. I asked, there's two people in one of the dwellings. There's one person in the other. There is not heavy traffic would be coming out of the driveway. I have done some research myself and there in fact has not been any problem on that roadway as far as driveways. I checked the traffic and there hadn't been any accidents with people pulling out. There are other driveways on that road that are similar. I'm asking the board for the relief from that. When the driveway closest to the intersection was put in, there was a requirement that it be so many feet from the middle of that roadway and the driveway was more than double from that intersection in the roadway. There has to be a distance according to the DPW. It was more than double away. I don't think it would be a safety problem. If I honestly thought that it would be a safety issue, that somebody had to turn around and drive out forward all the time, I would not have done that. But I'm asking this board for relief from that.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Does the board have any questions for him since he's up there? No?
No questions.
How does everyone feel about this?
I think we should go with what's shown on the drawing.
Right.
Stick with it for the, safety is the biggest thing.
Right. I remember this application and I asked Sari to review the record for us. We did cite safety as an issue with how we initially approved the project. With providing enough adequate parking for both locations on the site and in terms of pulling out onto Old Barnstable and Carriage Shop, given how busy that intersection is.
I would.
The engineering recommended that the driveways go up Bacardi, but they couldn't because they have no rights to Bacardi Lane.
Yeah.
And that's what it was previously, that it had been used before.
Right, and Bacardi's a private lane, if I remember correctly, sorry.
And occupancy can change.
Yeah.
You know, right now, there may not be usage, but if the occupancy changes,
Right.
then that's something that can't be controlled.
Right.
I think we should stick with it.
And Paul, what was your opinion?
no, I mean, I didn't really care either way, but
Yeah, I guess, maybe I wasn't here when we did this, so I don't have a feel for the safety issues, but I think we could approve the administrative request. Be comfortable. But I think you have the votes to deny it. I mean, do we think it's a significant safety? Everything could be a safety issue in Falmouth. It's a modest house. 2 houses.
And I understand that, Jerry, but I just remember this actual application, and
Okay.
it was a very approvable project with the caveat that the safety issue with the driveways, especially the testimony given Bacardi Lane as a private way, and they didn't have any access to that. So we wanted to ensure safety in and out of the property.
We also talked about even making them put one driveway access to the road.
Right, and
it was a grade issue.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I remember it. All right, I'll flip.
And I solved the grade.
I'm sorry?
I solved the grade issue. It was a finding that there was no safety impacted by the development. And I, in fact, went ahead and, if it was a safety issue, if there had been any problems, I've come out of there hundreds of times with 3 people that would live in both of those. I don't think it's a problem. I think aesthetically, it mars the...
The board doesn't agree with you.
Right, and I understand what you're saying, Mr. Kelly, but I think we're leaning toward 3 to 1 at this point for upholding the
This is
Cerie's determination.
Yeah, and
Well, I allowed it to be
Yeah.
pervious. He doesn't have to asphalt it,
Yeah.
as long as there's 2 parking spaces. This one came closer to the house, so he does have room to put it on this side if he doesn't want to put it in front of the house.
Yeah.
And this, all the septic systems show in the back or the dry wells in the front, so it can go over here too on this one. I explained that to him as well.
Pervious driveway, yeah.
I mean, we're allowing him, in my administrative approval, to do shells, gravel.
Yeah, shells will look
You know.
nice, and they still look nice.
And I have that great stuff where the grass grows through. I have it in my driveway. No, seriously, you
Yeah.
don't know there's a driveway there, because the grass comes up and,
And, I mean, a lot of relief was granted on the application.
Yeah.
Those were tiny, little old cottages. Now they're,
it's happening all over.
yeah. All right, so I've changed my mind.
All right, so long as he can put pervious pavement down or stone.
Yeah.
It gives them a choice.
Well, pervious will help too, if there is any extra runoff,
Yeah.
the pervious
would.
material will help, so.
All right.
It's up to the board.
All right, I'd like to, well, should we make a motion?
Yes,
You-
you have
you
to
can
I'd
make
like
a
to
motion
make
if
a
you want,
motion to deny the request and to keep the original approval in place as shown on the approved plan.
Right.
Are you willing to give him, in my administrative approval, I gave him time and asked for a bond, because people are already living in this house, even though I haven't signed off on the final. I don't know if an occupancy's been issued.
It has.
But I allowed, which it shouldn't have been without the board's sign-off.
Well, given the change in circumstance of the property, I think that's,
Is that amenable to you,
that's
the
amenable.
administrative
Makes sense.
approval as
Yeah.
drafted?
Yeah.
That'll give him a little bit of time, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
If you want to finish your vote, I
Sure,
apologize.
no, we appreciate the input, Suri. So that motion was made by Paul,
Second.
second by Ed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for
Thank
making
you
the
for your
trek here.
consideration.
Thank you. Procedural rules and policies, Kim isn't here, so we'll table that for now. And Suri, do we have any future agenda items?
No, you don't have to worry right now about the possible date in September, because I'm not changing it.
Okay,
So it's still, right now, as of the agenda show, or the scheduled hearing show, we are on for September 6th. I'm not putting in September 13th because things have changed.
all right.
So-
And Board of...
And you have a
Planning board
joint
has-
meeting, July 31st with the planning board.
Joint meeting,
time
July
yet.
31st.
So please don't forget it. Did we get a time, by the way?
Okay, so,
I'm assuming, let's go with 6:30. If it changes, I'll immediately let you know.
Okay, we'll assume 6:30. Here at the
Okay.
Selectmen's Room?
Yes.
Okay.
Snacks?
And they didn't answer me about a liaison to each board from the selectmen being present. So I'll ask,
Can you
Tom's been
follow
on
up?
vacation, I'll ask him again next week.
Thank you,
I think
sir.
it's important.
I do too.
It is important.
now, what was that, to be present at that meeting or our meetings?
Be present at
The
the
joint.
joint meeting.
Oh, I thought the selectmen left, I thought that would have been a given, but,
No.
I know they're busy, but given this,
Well, we're just asking for the liaisons to each board. I don't
Yeah.
even know who ours is.
All right.
And that's all I have, thank you.
All right, we are adjourned.
Wow.
46